Hi, I'm Linda Minnick of Linda Minnick Consulting, and I just exposed my business on BizLink TV network. Learn more about the sales process and how you can gain the confidence in yourself to reach your sales goals coming up on my episode of That's My Biz on BizLinks TV.
That's My Biz is sponsored by Visita Live Site and Constant Contact. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's My Biz. I'm Pamela Alexander, your host, and as always, we enjoy bringing to you the wonderful businesses, nonprofits, and associations that we meet when we're out there networking. We want you to know all about them. We have another great guest with us today, and I want to remind you that you can watch this episode again at www.bizlinks.tv. Also, make sure you check us out on our social media properties. You know where to find us. Everywhere it's BizLinks TV. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, you name it, find us out there. Now, I want to tell you about today's guest, Ms. Linda Minnick with Linda Minnick Consulting. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We are so excited to have you on today. We've been working to get her here, and so today is it. Now, she is a fantastic sales guru, and she's been in the business for over 30 years. So she started when she was a little baby. But she said she started sales because it really allowed you to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, to manage your schedule, to be able to make unlimited amount of income, but also just to be able to be of service to people as well. Right. And that's so important today, to be able to have that control to do that. So, Linda, the first thing I want to ask you is just what really made you love sales?
Well, it was really kind of interesting. Like I said, I got into sales because I was working for other people, and I had two little boys, and every time I needed to go do something, I'd have to ask my boss, can I go do something? And I thought, this doesn't work for me. And we were also being transferred a lot of the time, and I always worked in a sales office, and to be honest, the salespeople just looked like their life was perfect.
Okay.
I can do this.
Right.
How simple is this? But once I got into it, it was like catching a cold. I mean, once I recognized that I could be of help to people and be honest, to have people say, yeah, I'll buy that from you, it was like, oh, that's a win. Yeah. I can do this. Right. And a couple of times in my early career, I tried to get out of it, and it's like I couldn't. I had to get back into sales. So it's just, I think, part of who I am.
Okay. And I know sales can be kind of a scary endeavor for individuals. But now let me ask you, first of all, when you're talking about sales, is it any specific product or service that you enjoy selling, or is it just the whole sales process?
Yeah. Well, I think we all sell in one way or another. Sales is basically communication. Communicating your enthusiasm to somebody else. A lot of us use that tool to make a living selling a product. It's important that you like or love the product that you're selling because it's easier to get enthusiastic about it. But if you're managing people, if you're married, if you have children, if you any kind of communication with people, at some point you have to exchange an idea that you hope that they will buy into. That's selling. Okay. So now tell me kind of maybe a little bit difference, because we always hear sales and marketing put together. Yeah. So kind of tell me, we know there's a difference in the two. They're not the same thing. We know they kind of go hand in hand, but kind of explain the difference in that. In my definition of marketing is getting the information about a product out to the public, letting them know about a product, letting them know what it is, what it does for you, whatever. But it doesn't sell a product. Because if marketing was that good, they wouldn't need salespeople. Selling is actually going out and getting people to buy your product. So there's the difference, and you need both. But what I have found is that there are people who really understand how to market. There's a lot of psychology that goes along with that, and lots of other things. But they can't sell because they can't sit down and have one-on-one conversation. So that's where the salesperson comes in. Is actually helping sell the product.
Okay, and I love this because you already know, take your notes, and that's really why I wanted to ask that question, so that you understand the difference in the marketing and the sales, and because we, of course, come across that question all the time because we have sponsors and advertisers, and we're constantly telling them, we help you get the word out, but you got to close the deal.
With this many new entrepreneurs and self-employed, what I hear a lot is, I don't understand why I'm not selling anything because I'm doing all the social media and I'm putting ads here and I'm putting ads there and no one's buying. It's
Right.
like, well, if
Right.
that's the way it worked, we'd all be
Right.
rich.
Right.
I mean, emails and Facebook really don't sell anything.
Right.
It just lets you know where you can find it or what's out there for you. So you have to physically go out and talk to somebody.
Okay, I love it because we're just getting the people to the door so that they even know you exist
Yes.
in the first
Yes.
place. But once they reach out to you, now let's talk a little bit about that because once they reach out to you, then what happens? That's the real work, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, once they reach out, I mean, it's a matter of making sure that you can easily have a conversation with someone to get them to let you come to move further into what you have.
Okay.
Things like with Biz TV and things like that are really important and helps open the door.
Right.
But once you go through the door, you have to be able to sit down and catch somebody's attention and ask the right questions to so that they'll say, yeah, tell me more about it.
Right.
So that's it's the next step in the process.
Okay, I love that. So tell us, first of all, let me ask, who are the types of businesses that you work with? Kind of what's your sweet spot?
Well, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, people who have found themselves in business and have never had any sales. Or I also work with small sales teams. I don't work with a lot of the large ones anymore, but I work with small sales teams who have some idea of selling, but they need to better their skills.
Okay.
A lot of people that I work with might have the information on the 7 steps of the sales cycle, but they don't understand that there's another part of that is what goes on in their head.
Okay.
So I do a lot of transformational thinking with salespeople too.
Okay, and I love this because so often you hear about people that work with sales, but it normally is a larger corporate, and not maybe the smaller sales team. So it's great for you all out there to have a resource that can work with you. So let's start with the smaller sales teams, and we'll get into the kind of individual type businesses. So with the smaller sales teams, are the companies not providing their salespeople training?
Most companies don't provide salespeople training. It doesn't make any difference if they're large or small.
Okay.
Sales training in corporate-wide or company-wide is becoming a thing of the past.
Wow.
Because they have to spend their money on so much of other things, and I think they just anticipate that their salespeople will go out and find the training.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have the situation where you have a new entrepreneur who doesn't know how to sell.
Right.
But think they might know how to sell,
Right.
and they're hiring people that they think might know how to sell,
Okay.
so they may not even realize until they get into the process and nothing is moving that they need help.
Okay, wow. So then for those that are coming in, because I can see where the businesses, they're expecting to hire someone that has experience. That's why they're hiring them.
Yes.
They need the people that have the experience. So for the sales teams to go out there and get their training, then they would come to someone like you that can provide them that. So now do you provide group classes or is it one-on-one? How does that work?
Depending on the client, I can do one-on-one, I do group classes, I also do what we call a mastermind, which is just once a week, and whoever wants to come and wherever they happen to be in the sales cycle, we can work with them with that. But when I work with groups, especially small companies, typically we go in and we'll end up doing, depending on how in-depth they needed, a day or 2 training. And then we do follow-up with them. But I have a lot of individual salespeople who will hire me and say, help.
Right. Trying to keep my job and make this income. So now for businesses that are looking to bring on salespeople, kind of what's going on in the market right now? Is it still a base and commission, or is it mostly commission these days? How is it working?
I think there's a wide variety, and I think it depends on the product. When a company starts looking at a compensation program, they need to look at the sales cycle of their product. If they've got something that someone can go out and sell in a day, well, then that person shouldn't necessarily need to have to be on a base as much as the person where the sales cycle is 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. If you have a long sales cycle, your salespeople can't survive without a compensation program that includes a base. So I don't want to give any advice on what's the perfect. You have to look at your own situation, but there are very many different compensation plans out there.
And that's fantastic. Now, do you help companies with that as well?
Yes.
Okay. And I asked that because I never thought about it, but why they do one versus the other. So hearing how long that sales cycle is makes so much sense now. So so now I got a better idea of this. So now let's talk about the kind of the micro entrepreneurs, the either one person or maybe 2 or 3 person type business in the sales, because now they're wearing multiple hats and they also have to wear their sales hat. So how do you work with them?
Well, the first thing I help them understand is depending on what your product and who your client base is, typically there's a certain time during the day that is selling time.
Okay.
And they have to dedicate that time to selling.
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of administrative stuff to do, and you got to get your web up, and you got to pay your bills, and you have to deal with your vendor, and you have to run the laundry.
Right.
That's pre or post selling time.
Okay.
And that there are certain time during the day that you have to sell to keep your business going, and that it's not a one-time deal. It's a constant. And lots of times, especially with a new entrepreneur, what will happen is they'll put lots of energy into finding new clients, and once you put that energy, it starts coming, and then they'll stop and service those clients, and they won't sell anymore, and then they don't understand why they don't have any clients.
Right.
It's called a sales cycle for a reason, because you have to constantly have people going through those steps.
Okay.
But yeah, time management is really, especially for the self-entrepreneur, the most important thing.
Yeah. About what percentage of time should they put towards selling?
Well, again, it depends on their own situation and how many sales they need.
Okay.
What's called knowing your numbers. If you know that you have to sell 15 whatever in a week, well, then you need to spend more time.
Okay.
If you're selling a product that, you sell one and it's a big payload for you, then you can be more targeted about who you're going to target, and you might not have to spend as much time once you get going.
Okay.
But so it's knowing how much you have to sell to make those numbers. And when you look at those numbers, especially for an entrepreneur, sometimes they just look at their expenses and they forget to put in future expenses or paying themselves or something. So it's knowing how much you have to make to determine how much time you need to put into that.
Okay. Wow. I tell you, everyone, we are getting some good information. I hope that your notebook is already filled. The first page is already filled with the wonderful information that we're getting from Linda. Linda, before we go to break, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
You can reach me either via my office phone, which is 678-367-3459, or email lkminnick@live.com, or my website, which is lindaminnick.com.
Fantastic. I love it. Everyone, we're going to take a break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Meet Shelley. She can make a Labradoodle look like, well, either one. And she's a marketer. Shelley uses constant contact email to spread the word about her services, whether it's staying in touch with her regular customers or reaching brand new ones. It works for Shelley, and her clients are delighted. Shelley's a marketer, and all it took was constant contact. Try it free.
Visita provides a complete business calendar, fully integrated with your client scheduling experience. You can view and manage your daily schedule and any upcoming meetings, and most importantly, schedule new appointments and follow-ups with your clients. Using Visita Calendar for client scheduling will save you time and deliver a better service to your clients. Visita Calendar automatically syncs with your existing calendar on Google, Outlook, iPhone, and more.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, we want to thank our sponsors for continuing to support us and support That's My Biz, as well as BizLinks TV Network. We want to remind you that if you're interested in being a sponsor, you can reach out to us at That's My Biz at bizlinks.tv. Also, we want to thank you, our viewers, because without you, we wouldn't have a reason to have this show on. Right. So we love bringing to you these wonderful businesses. I hope that you're reaching out to them and doing business with them. And if so, please let us know. Give us some comments right below the show, where you can catch it again at bizlinks.tv or anywhere on our social media properties. Give us some feedback there and let us know how things are going with the contacts that you are making. Now, before the break, we were talking to our master sales guru here, Ms. Linda Minnick, and make sure that you reach out to her as well, especially, even if you're not struggling with sales, but you just want to increase that and learn some new techniques as well, because it can get stale a little bit.
It can.
Yeah. Now, Linda, I want to ask you, we talked a little bit earlier about just people being uncomfortable, because so many people, they don't really want to ask for money or ask for the sale, and we find so many sales just don't happen and close because they don't ask for it. What do you think makes people so uncomfortable about selling?
Well, a part of it's ego. They don't want to be told no.
Okay.
They are uncomfortable asking for money. And it gets to that point. You're right. So many people will go through the whole process and then they won't ask. And what we don't realize, if someone has not asked us to leave, they're expecting us to ask them to buy. Or they wouldn't let you sit there that long.
Right.
But if we remember that if you really understand your product and the value that you bring, if you put yourself, instead of concentrating on you. You concentrate on the person you're talking to and how can I be of help to this person and how can I help them solve whatever problem we're talking about, and you recognize that they really are going to benefit. It makes it asking a little bit easier.
Okay.
But you're going to get no's.
Okay.
I mean, either they don't really understand the situation, or they're not ready, or they just don't need it, or whatever, but that shouldn't deter you from finding the right person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love that because now I've made it a little game a lot of times when I'm talking with people and I know they're giving me the sales pitch and I'm just sitting there. Sometimes I'm begging them to, ask me for the sale. Tell me the benefits. Talk a little bit about sales folks that do all the talking.
Oh. My guess is they're not making a lot of money. It's my guess. Depending on the personality, I know a lot of new people do a lot of talking because they're nervous, and they've been told you've got to tell your client all of this, or they have to know everything.
Yeah.
I've worked with some people who have changed industries that came from engineering or software, where they were truly data driven.
Okay.
But what happens is when you do all the talking, you don't know why your client is there to buy.
Right.
So you need to ask why, so that you know exactly what to address yourself to. I mean, you may have a product that solves this wonderful problem they have, but the reason they like it is because it's red. Well, if that's why they like it,
Right.
sell it to them because they're red.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to sell every benefit if you know what the client wants.
Right.
And you're doing yourself a favor and you're doing your client a favor. And one quick story, my husband has been in technical industries all the time, and for years he was doing purchasing, and there was a computer company, I won't name the name,
Okay.
but they constantly changed sales reps on him, and he hated it. And finally he came in one day and he said, I really love my new sales rep. And I said, what was the difference? Did he know more? No. Was he more experienced? No. And I said, what's the difference? And he stopped and he said, he asked me questions. He allowed me to talk instead of telling me what he was going to do for me.
Right.
And so my best classroom has been right there in my house.
Okay.
So if we really want to be of service, we have to ask, how can I help you?
Right.
And you have to ask the right questions.
That's right. Everyone out there, less talking. We talk about that, two ears, one mouth, right?
Yeah.
So less talking and really find out what their pain point is, because that's
Exactly.
what it's all about,
That's right.
serving that pain point
That's
and
right.
fixing that particular problem for
Exactly.
them. So often, too, I get people that will sell to me, and I'm just looking at them like, I'm not your target audience.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because so
Yeah.
many times we're selling and spending a lot of energy selling,
Yeah.
but we're not selling to the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So many people will go out and sell or just talk to anybody so they can say they're doing it. That, I'm out here doing my job. I've talked to the bus driver.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time for everybody. So it's important to know who your target audience is and to find that out. And a lot of people who are selling will continue talking to the wrong people because they're afraid to go after the right people.
Oh, okay.
Or they're afraid to someone was nice to them and said, hello, how are you?
Right.
Which gave them the opportunity to just go into their spiel.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, I've got a live one. It's like, no,
Right,
you've got someone
right.
who's breathing.
Right.
Give them a break. But it's important to know, especially if you plan on doing this as a profession, you have to be professional about
Okay.
this.
Okay.
So,
I love that. And so often, again, with smaller businesses, learning that they have to, especially if that's not their strong suit,
Right.
when it's time to build a team and bring on a
Yeah.
salesperson,
Yeah.
and really learn how to do that. Now, so let me ask you, because we've gotten a lot of great information already today. Let me ask you, what makes what you do in your business different than other sales trainers
Yeah.
that are out there?
well, one of the things, I mean, of course, I've been a certified sales trainer for 35 years.
Okay.
But when I was taught, it was all about the process.
Okay.
And what I've learned is that, you can know the process. But if you don't pay attention to your own self-talk,
Okay.
so I'm also a coach in transformational thinking.
Okay.
And so one of the things I do is I help a salesperson or a sales team recognize, what are you really doing here? I was working with a sales team one time, and I was working with the sales rep. I said, so why are you here? I mean, why are you trying to make your quota? And he says, to keep my job. So I made him sit and think, what happens to your life if you make your job? What happens? And he said, well, I make all this money. And I said, well, what will you do with this money? And he realized how his life would change.
Okay.
So selling is, while it's easy, it's also one of the hardest things I've ever done, because you constantly mentally and emotionally have to be ready to do that. And if you don't know why you're getting up every day and knocking on those doors and getting those no's, it makes it tough to do that. So I try to help the sales rep and the sales team recognize the benefits that they get from doing this job well.
Wow, So then with that, then there's this whole new passion
Yeah.
around what you're doing, in that particular product. And that, again, because you mentioned one of the things you enjoy was being of service.
Right.
And you don't think of sales as being of service. You
Yeah.
figure you're just selling something. How does it then turn into that being of service?
Well, when you know that you have a product, and it doesn't make any difference if it's training, if it's business TV, if you're selling exterminating services, someone needs help with whatever that is. There's a problem going on that they need service with, and if you are the professional that can bring them good service to
Right.
do that,
Right.
in my opinion, it's my duty
Yeah.
to find those people, to make their lives better.
Yeah.
We talk about being of service and helping make people's lives better, and we always think these big and glorious things. Sometimes some people just need an ice cream cone.
Right.
So sell them an ice cream cone.
Right.
I mean, it's the little things in our lives that build up the whole thing. So no matter what you're selling, if you know that your product is helping someone solve a problem, you're being of service, telling them that it's there.
Right.
It's up to them to decide whether or not you're the person to deal with.
Right.
But if you know that you bring a value to the proposition, it's your job to come out and let them know that.
Wow, that is great. I love what you said, and part of what makes you different in not just focusing on the process and the
No.
sales process,
Yeah.
but looking at yourself internally. It sounds like it's just changing your
Right.
whole mindset, and it's sort of like quit
Right.
being selfish by
Yeah.
not asking for the sale.
Right.
Because you're doing a disservice
That's
to
right.
that particular person.
That's right. I mean, if you have a product that really makes a change
Yeah.
in somebody's life, whatever it is, and you don't ask, and you find out later that they really needed that product, and you were there and had the opportunity to share that with them, I don't want to say whose fault is that, but it is a missed opportunity for both of you.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
hopefully that's some light bulbs
Yeah.
going on for some folks out
Yeah.
there, and that they're just really switching
Yeah.
their train of thought about sales just with that bit of information.
Well, if you put the emphasis on the client, it makes doing this easier.
Yeah.
Makes doing this
Okay.
easier.
So tell me, what are some of the programs that you provide?
Well, I do one-on-one coaching, or I do group coaching, depending what they are. I do offer a monthly mastermind. We're
Okay.
starting the next one in the middle of September.
Okay.
And it's going to run we're going to do 8 weeks so that we're done in time of the holidays. Because
Okay.
once Thanksgiving
Right.
comes, you might as well just
Right.
send everybody a card and say,
Right.
see you after January. And that's once a month. And I also, if someone is looking for an opportunity to
Okay.
become entrepreneur, I also now have an opportunity to talk to them about that also. So
For
love to be
new
of service.
entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
then they'll be able to right out the gate
Yes.
start working with you
Yeah.
to be able to get their sales
Yes.
running from the beginning.
Yes. I also do speaking. If anyone
Okay.
needs someone to come in and do some speaking
Okay.
for a group or
Yeah.
whatever on how to sell or whatever, I'd love to do that, or the benefits of selling or mindset or anything.
Okay.
I love doing that.
That's great. I mean, so there's some great opportunities for everyone out there, because we know sales is one of the toughest things, but it is one of the key
Yeah.
things that you need to do. Because
Yeah.
if you're in business, you're a for-profit business,
That's right.
you need it. And even if
Right.
you're a nonprofit, you
Yes.
still need these techniques and these business
Right.
techniques, that you still have to generate income for your nonprofit
Exactly.
organization as well. And I know oftentimes that's probably an untapped industry that
Yeah.
people haven't thought about. You've still got to learn the sales
Yeah.
techniques, because you've
Yeah.
got to interest people
Yeah.
in what you're providing there.
Well, and the country needs good salespeople.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole world needs good. It keeps money flowing. It keeps the economy going.
Right.
Without salespeople, I don't know where we would be. So if you're thinking about becoming a salespeople, don't stop.
Wow.
Just take a jump.
I love it. So whether it's just you individual and you're going to be a salesperson, you're looking for that opportunity to either provide your services to a business, or that's
Yeah.
you want to be a part of that particular company. Certainly, you want to make sure that you get those skills that you need. And I was going to ask you if there was a certification for it. So you said you've been certified.
I've been certified as a trainer.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And you can get sales certification,
Okay.
but you don't need to. I mean,
Okay.
you just need to be able to have a nice conversation with
Okay.
someone.
So learn the skills, and we know that's something that's continually growing, especially
Yeah.
with how the world is changing
Yeah.
with more mobile technology and all
yeah.
of that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to ask you is, because we always hear the fortunes and the follow-up.
Yeah.
But we know so often people, they may talk to someone at one time, and I'll tell them, this isn't the proper time for me, in 2 weeks get back with me, and they don't get back with me.
No.
So talk a little bit about just the follow-up and the need for that in sales.
It's amazing how many people don't follow up. It just really surprises me. And when I started selling, we didn't have all this technology. So they were saying you need 7 touches. And a
Right.
touch is somehow just getting your name in front of somebody. Well, they've raised that now to 11
Yeah.
or 15 because there's just so much. So whether you're calling or emailing or knocking on the door or sending them a card, people need to be reminded that you were there,
Right.
because they may not need your service today, like you said, but you just never know when it's going to happen.
Right.
So as long as your name is in front of them somehow, as long as they know that you're there, then they can reach you. But also sometimes a follow-up, if they know that you're going to follow up on the small things like calling, you said you're going to call me in 2 weeks, you're going to follow up. When they're ready to do business, they're going to know you're going to take care of them
Right.
because you stand by what you said you're going to do. It's
Exactly.
one of the biggest problems with salespeople these days. It's like, oh, they didn't buy from me. Yeah, I said I'd call them, but I won't. It's
Yeah.
like, guys, you're not going on a first date. You're
Right.
trying to make a living with this. So you need to keep calling these people back.
Right.
And I don't mean to harass them.
Right, right.
But you need to be professional about it, and if you promise somebody something, or if you know they're a good contact, or a good prospect, sooner or later, something will probably move, and they'll understand that he's right, she's right. I am a good prospect for this.
I love that because so often we catch people at different times, and
Right.
maybe that's not their focus right
Right.
then, or for whatever is going on.
Yeah.
But when we do make that follow up,
Yeah.
and what I loved is you mentioned the variety of ways
Yeah.
that you can make that touch,
Yeah.
not just relying on social media and quit direct messaging folks on social media.
Yeah.
Reach out to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But I love that you mentioned,
Yeah.
the phone call.
Yeah.
Which we just got to stop and pick up that phone
Isn't that
sometimes.
funny? You mean you want me to call you?
Yeah, right. Email is great, but you even mentioned mail. Snail
Yeah.
mail
Oh,
still
yeah.
works too, but having that
Yeah.
variety, I love that.
I'm a big one for writing notes, and so many times someone will say, "Oh my God, I got a
Right.
note with a stamp on it," But you also need to know who your audience is. I mean, you need to remember that if you're dealing with people over 50, they're not going to be on social media as much. And if
Right.
you're dealing with somebody under 30, they're not going to
Right.
maybe go to the mail. You're going
Right.
to have to actually learn how to
Right.
do that. So you need to know who your audience is. You need to know how to use all of those tools. They're phenomenal tools.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, you got a Yellow Pages and you knocked on doors. I mean, so you have the tools, use them. But make sure that once you've put the energy into contacting somebody, don't just drop them off the face of the earth, because
Right.
you don't know what happened that day when
Right.
they said no.
Right, right.
You know?
Wow, we love it. So now, you've mentioned the programs, and I want to close with, because you also mentioned your next thing coming up is the Sales Mastermind.
Yes.
I know there's probably limited seats for that.
Right.
Okay, so everyone who, if you're interested in this, you need to jump on it now so
Right.
that you can get one of those coveted seats
That's
that's
right.
available. Business TV Network has gone through it. We love it. We appreciate all the great
Good.
information that was shared in that mastermind.
Yeah.
So for everyone out there, again, give them a little taste of what is the mastermind, and then how can they get a seat.
Yeah. Well, the mastermind is a group of people, and I run it with my partner, Sherry Weed, and what we do is we find out what's on your mind. Where are you stuck in the sales cycle? What are you needing help with? And so everybody comes to the mastermind, and we do have, typically we have a topic we talk about,
Okay.
but then we also address everybody. So how did your week go? Where's your challenge? How can we support you on that? So it's not necessarily a classroom, but it's a support. And what happens is, they're always talking about when you get two or more minds together, the ideas just start bubbling.
Yeah.
Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And it's not just Sherry and I, it's the people in there. So it gives everybody the opportunity to get in the same mind frame,
Right.
bring that energy up,
Yeah.
and come up with some situations. And a lot of times what happens, and it happened this last time and the time we did it before, is they start giving each other referrals or
Right.
leads. And it's not meant for that, but that's the way
Yeah.
it happens, because you build this nice type
Yeah.
group. So if anyone's interested, they can email me or call me. I'd love to tell you a little bit about it, and we'll go from there.
Right.
And we do limit it because we respect your time, and if we have too many people, then we can't allow everyone to have
Right.
as much time as they need. So it's
Right.
not really a networking group where you only get 3
Right.
minutes. We want to make sure that we solve what is ever on your plate that day.
Right, right, and that's great because
Yeah.
masterminds are fantastic, but to have one that focuses on sales,
Yeah.
and then like Linda said, it's not just kind of the experts,
Yeah.
but you meet other businesses and you find out,
Yeah.
if not anything, you find out that you're not alone.
That's right.
With what your challenges are.
And that's it. There's a lot of single salespeople out there that are working for themselves or they're small companies,
Yeah.
and they need to get into a mind frame of people that support them
Right.
in doing what they do,
Right.
and that's what we do in the mastermind. And we'd love to have you come join us.
Absolutely, and learning great ideas
Yeah.
from each other
Yeah.
as well. So make sure that you hurry up and get on the list for it.
Yeah.
Linda, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you again.
Okay. So again, my office number is 678-367-3459. You can get through me, lindaminnick.com or lkminnick, MINNICK, @live.com.
Fantastic. Linda, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
This is wonderful.
Good, everyone. Again, I know your next sheet is already full too, so definitely please make sure you go back, watch this episode again, get some more notes, because you never pick it all up the first time.
Yeah.
So make sure that you go back, take some notes again. Please reach out to us, give Linda some feedback also, and let her know your thoughts about it, and let her know, that you want to get in that mastermind group, so make sure that you do that as well. You can reach us again at bizlinks.tv. You can also reach us on social media properties, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you go out there and subscribe. Make sure that you stay up to date on all of our upcoming episodes, and hit us up on all the other Facebook, our social media properties as well. We're at BizLinks TV everywhere. That's where you can find us. I'm Pamela Alexander with That's My Biz, exposing your business to the world.